It's you or it's me, that's the option. You got that little pistol, ain't popped it, ain't got you nobody. See, really, you niggas nobodies. Got rank in the city, I make me one calling you body. See, we flashing crash as a hobby. Been going too fast with this shit, something like Ricky Bobby. I'm strapped like it's part of my body. Stiff at the shoulders, I'm something like Frazier Holly. You fake it, you niggas a copy. I bet if I give her this pill that she jump out of body. It's wet, but I bet it get sloppy. Cause I got a stroke, give her hope, and I bet he can't copy. Was cold on that field, was a jockey. But I had been jumped in that field before cleats and a high knee. These niggas too pussy to try me. Bumping they gums on the net like they don't know where I be. 600 the block, do you copy? I really had fiends at the hotel getting lit in the lobby. These labels, they trying to sign me. But I want an M for my son, ain't no telling what I need. See, I'm banging crib like a hot sheet, ayy. Like ayy, hold on, dialogue. Ayy, get it right. I'm finna punch you in. I'm finna double back. Ayy. Ayy, 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 see, I'm banging crib like a hossy. I'm cold with them sticks and that ice, but I ain't never play hockey. That hustling shit in my body, but if I ain't flipping that pack, then I'm robbing the party. They stepping on shit, hardly. Jumped in the game off the top rope, I feel like Jeff Hardy. Finna ice on my chain with the Johnny. Really too wavy for niggas, I'm screaming out north. Taliban out of gang, we a army. And yeah, we been having some motion, just waiting to spark. Smelling like gas up in Target. Caught a eye black and he pussy, I don't fuck with the talking. See, we dropping bodies, talking. These niggas ain't really stepping, they really just walking. These niggas, the feds, they be talking. I got some killers on deck that's gon' scoop for the profit.
Welcome to another episode of First to 32 podcast where we play for keeps. I'm your host, Steve, a.k.a. S. a.k.a. whatever you know me as. And today on another episode, we are talking sports, good sports. Yesterday was the last day of the regular season and the playoffs are amongst us. The best time of the season if you're a basketball fan. This is where shit gets real. This is where legends are made, and this is where the games really matter. This is where people make their name at. Yesterday I was watching a good game. The Warriors and the Clippers. The Warriors lost. The Clippers beat them. It was a good game, went into overtime, but the Clippers eventually end up winning. Steph had a couple key turnovers, and that's another thing. Steph had, I think, 8 turnovers that game, and I think it's time that we start pointing out, like, in certain key points, even though sometimes he do make big shots, but a lot of times he come up missing and nobody points it out. Because if that would have been Russell Westbrook, who would have made 2 key turnovers at the end of the game or close to winning the game to close out the game, they would have been all on his ass. But yeah, the Clippers won, and so the Warriors now have to play in the play-in tournament to start off the playoffs. We'll see how that goes. But before we get into any of that, I want to congratulate Paige Becker. She was just drafted number 1 in the WNBA draft to the Dallas team. So let's give it up for Paige Becker. Shout out to Paige. She just won the NCAA title. Now she's being drafted number 1. She'll be in the WNBA next year. So I look forward to seeing her play against the professionals. She did her thing. And she was also a part of that high school class with her, Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark. And so, yeah. It's going to be some big things coming for her. In other news, the Denver Nuggets, they fired Mike Malone, their head coach of 10 years, with just a week left in the season. They chose to get rid of him. And there was reports that the reason that they fired him was because him and management weren't getting along. The GM, specifically Calvin Booth, and the Denver Nuggets chose not to renew his contract, so he's up after the season is over with, after these playoffs, if Denver deep run. But they were reported that the organization wasn't really happy with Mike Malone, and that the reason that they kind of kept him on the team is because he was winning. So they chose to get rid of him now because they didn't want to keep him longer if he happened to make a deep playoff run, and they would look kind of dumb by firing their head coach. And he brought them their only NBA championship. So it's weird giving up a coach that's been with your organization for 10 years, brought you a championship. And that it was reported that a lot of the players was unhappy with the way he was treating them. They said specifically with Russell Westbrook, saying he was giving Russell Westbrook special treatment. And another thing was with him and the GM was the GM wanted him to play younger players as opposed to playing older veteran players. I'm assuming Mike Malone like veteran players like Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook was in a rotation a lot, got a lot of minutes, but the GM wanted him to play the younger players that he drafted, because if you could remember, after they won their championship, they lost a bunch of key players from their championship run. They lost Bruce Brown, they lost KCP, a bunch of proven veterans, and they chose to draft younger players, and I'm assuming to prolong their championship run by going younger. But I'm assuming Mike Malone chose to play veteran players, which I don't fault him for wanting to give Russell Westbrook a lot of time, because Russ plays hard. And so I could kind of understand him giving Russ special treatment or treating him a certain way, because a lot of his ex-teammates love Russ. He plays hard, gives his all 100% each play every day, all day. So, but I'm assuming a lot of players didn't like that, and they're saying like he was kind of hard on them. If you remember, he called them out in the media about them not watching film or not playing hard. So he been there a long time. The message probably got stale, and it was probably just his time to go. It's just the timing of it was kind of weird, especially when Joker is having great of a season he's having right now. He just finished the season averaging a triple-double. He was top 3 in rebounds and assists. First time anybody did that. Well, first time a center has done that in NBA history. So it's weird. We're gonna see what they do. At the playoffs is we're heading into the playoffs. And another thing, a person that's back in the news. Hold on, I'll say it before I speak on him. I was gonna give him his proper intro. Let me give him his proper intro.
That drink talking.
Nah, I'm just playing. But nah, NBA young Ja Morant is back in the news again. Nothing serious or whatever. So if you can remember, he got fined $75,000 for doing the gun gesture celebration after he hit a jump shot. So I guess he was like, well, I'm not gonna stop what I'm doing. This is who I am type shit. So he came up with a different idea. And what he come up with, so now what he's doing is, after he hits the jump shot, he'll take the pin out of the grenade, throw the grenade, and then cover his ears. But according to Ja, it's not what y'all think it is. That's not what he's doing. What he said, when a reporter asked him about his celebration, what he said that he is throwing his words out there and then covering his ears because he don't want to hear the haters. He's blocking out the noise, some shit like that. But Ja, I fucks with you though. The reason I fucks with it is because you find a way to beat the system. Now, they can't find a way. If they can't find you on this one, you feel me? Because they reaching, and you kind of, gave them a little word play. I'm throwing my words out there and covering my ears. We know damn well you throwing grenades, but I guess it don't look as bad. But you getting away with this shit, you feel me? But I guess he like, shit, I ain't gonna let up. I'm gonna keep doing me, and this is who I am. But he barking up the wrong tree though, because the league will find a way to get on his ass. I don't know if he know or not, but no one player is bigger than the system or the NBA unless you LeBron James right now. So I don't know. He don't want to find himself poking the bear too much, and then he fuck around and end up getting traded. Like as we learn, no player is safe in this era. The Mavs just traded Luka to the Lakers. Need to figure out something, or I don't know. I guess he's good with his image. He don't give a fuck about what's going on. So he gonna do what he gonna do. And I don't blame him. Keep doing you, Job. That's who you is. Keep do you. But don't be mad at the consequences that comes with that. Because them people ain't gonna let you just play in their face like that. So we'll see in due time. Time will tell what goes on with that. But I don't mind the celebration. It look cool, I guess. But I guess Ja ain't gonna let them fuck with him. So now that the NBA season has come to an end, and the playoffs have started, this is the playoff bracket that we looking at. In the West, we got OKC, and they're gonna face whoever wins the AC in the play-in tournament. And then we got Houston versus whoever wins the 7th seed in the play-in tournament. And the next bracket, we got the Lakers at number 3 versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm actually looking very forward to that series right there. I want to see Anthony Edwards versus LeBron James and Luka. Actually, selfishly, what I wanted to see Golden State and the Lakers in the first round, because I don't think we're going to get any more Steph Curry and LeBron James playoff battles because, well, LeBron and Steph is getting older. LeBron is probably closer to retirement than Steph is, but I would like to see that one more time. And I really wanted to go to one of those games. Last year I went to the game 5 of the Lakers. Game 4 of the Lakers and Denver Nuggets. So if the Lakers played Golden State, I was definitely gonna try to make my way to one of those games, either if it was in San Francisco or in LA. But I don't know, who knows? I might still go to one of the games for my birthday. My birthday is usually during playoff season, so hopefully somebody play on my birthday or close to my birthday in one of those series that I like. But this Lakers and Minnesota series is gonna be super good. But you know how I feel. Lakers in 5. Like Shannon Sharp say, Lakers in 5. Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle. It ain't enough for what we got going on. I think Julius Randle, I don't know about him. He just doesn't perform properly in the playoffs. I think Edwards will show up. Rudy Gobert will be in the way in my eyes. He always is in the way. He doesn't have any offensive moves or anything like that. He's okay on defense, but protecting the rim, that's about it. But if you put him in the pick and roll, they'll eventually have to take him out the game because he won't serve no purpose. And then in the other matchup, we got the Denver Nuggets and the Clippers. I actually think this will probably be the best series in the first round. The Clippers they're flying under the radar, but I think they're probably the most dangerous team to win, to even make it to the championship this year. I think they're playing solid. They got a solid roster from top to bottom. They're one of the only teams with a traditional center in Zubac. He plays good on offense and defense. He's not a liability on defense, and he can get you some buckets on offense. Then they got Kawhi. He's actually healthy. James Harden is playing real good. They got Norman Powell as a good scorer, too. So I think the Clippers are a sneaky team this year. People are not paying attention to them, but I think that series will be good. Jamal Murray, he's being reported that he'll be back for the opening round of the playoffs. He's been battling injuries. What a coincidence. He comes back right after their head coach get fired. But in the Eastern Conference, Cleveland is number 1 seed. They waiting to play the winner of the 8th seed from the play-in tournament. Boston is number 2. They're waiting to play the 7th seed from the play-in tournament. The Knicks and Detroit are playing. I'm calling it now. The Knicks will lose to the Detroit Pistons. It's going to be an upset. The Pistons are playing some good basketball, and I don't think that the Knicks have beat a top team in the Eastern Conference this year. I don't think they beat Boston or Cleveland. I don't think they beat Oklahoma City or Houston this year. I could be wrong, but I think they have a terrible record against the best teams in the league this year. And I'm not sure what's up with Jalen Brunson and his injury and if he'll be back for that round. But the Pistons play good defense. They're physical. Cade Cunningham is their leader. He could get you some buckets. So I'm calling it now. The Detroit Pistons will upset the New York Knicks in 5. I got it in 5. I don't even see it going to 6 or 7. You got the Indiana Pacers and the Milwaukee Bucks in the 4 and 5 seed. I think Milwaukee will win that one. I don't think Dame is coming back. I think he's gone for the season with the blood clot situation. So he'll probably be out for the playoffs. Probably won't return until next year. But I think Giannis is enough to get them past that series. And speaking of the play-in tournament, I think that it's time to get rid of that shit. I think it was cool for its original purpose, which was for the bubble, to have more teams come back and go to the bubble to compete, is for the seed 7 through the 8. But I think it's time to get rid of that shit. It's time to go back to the original 1 through 8 seed. And the reason I say that is because this year, and looking at the rankings, in the Western Conference, you have, for the 7 and 8 seed, you got the Warriors and the Memphis Grizzlies. They're both 48 and 34. And then in the fucking 10th spot, you got the Dallas Mavericks that are 39 and 43. You 10-9 games below and you get a chance to make it to the playoff, bro, just put them out, send them home to Cancun. You didn't make it. You wasn't good enough that year. You wasn't good enough. Let's go back to the 1 through 8 seed. I get it. The play-in tournament probably generate more revenue, so they're probably going to keep it around. But I don't want to see that shit. I don't want a team. I don't think it's fair that a team that's 14 games above 500, if they lose one game to a team that's 5 games below 500, then they out of the playoffs. Nah. You had 82 games to make it, bro. You weren't good enough. Go home. 1, 2, 3, Cancun. Go home. And then over in the East, you got the 7 and 8 seed, the Magic and the Hawks. Well, the East is always kind of worse on the record side. But then in the 9th and 10th spot, you got the Bulls and the Heat. The Bulls are 39 and 43, and then the Heat are 37 and 45. And then people be mad when those teams not exciting in the playoffs. They didn't deserve to fucking be there. They getting swept in the first round for a round. Because if Cleveland end up playing either the Bulls or the Heat, it's a fucking sweep. I don't want to see that. Now the whole first round is boring because the matchups are trash. But I will say this though. This is probably going to be one of the most exciting playoffs we've had in a long time on both ends. But I think there's only 2 legit contenders in the Eastern Conference, and I think that is Boston and Cleveland. But if they end up playing each other, I'm going to go with Boston. But if somehow Boston loses because the playoff is all about matchups and exploiting the other team's weaknesses, if Boston end up maybe losing, maybe because of injuries too, because injuries happen, I think Cleveland can make it far now in the West. I think it's wide open. I think people think just because OKC has the better record by a long shot that they're automatically going to advance. But I think they have some weaknesses that other teams can expose. I think the Lakers can beat the OKC. I think Golden State, if they make it further enough, they could beat OKC, and I think Denver can beat OKC. But besides that, I'm happy for Houston, but I haven't seen enough to be a believer in them that they could actually win a championship. They lack, experience. I think the Timberwolves, if they could get hot, maybe they could win it. But I think they got a lot of liabilities, especially on the offensive and defensive side. Rudy Gobert is a liability on offense, and Julius Randle is a liability on defense. He's bound to do some crazy shit on offense too. Either he'll force something, dribble the clock out. I don't know. Julius Randle, he's like an undersized forward that plays like a point guard, but don't have a great handle. He can handle a little bit, and he don't have a go-to move. And his jump shot is super inconsistent. If his jump shot was super consistent, he would be a better player, but it's just hard. And speaking of the playoffs and championship runs, what do y'all think was the hardest championship to win throughout NBA history? I'm not going to say NBA history because I don't want to go super far back in time, but in recent history, what has been some of the hardest championships to go? I put up my top 5, and this is what I came up with. No particular order, and then I'm gonna explain why they're my top 5, and you can choose which ones you think was harder. I'll tell you what I think was hardest too. So amongst the 5 that I think I'm going with, I came up with the 2011 Mavs, the 19 Raptors, 95 Rockets, 21 Bucks, and the 05 Spurs. Between those 5, which were the hardest? I'm gonna go from the least to the most. What I think. Y'all may have a different opinion. This is mine. So at number 5, I'm going to go with the 05 Spurs. The reason why, first round, they beat the Nuggets in 5. Second round, they beat the Sonics. This was when OKC was in Seattle. They beat them in 6 games. And then the Western Conference Final, they beat the Suns in 5 games. That was with Nash, Amari Stoudemire, Sean Marion, Barbosa, and the crew. That was when Nash was on that, when he was a 2-time MVP back-to-back. Don't see how that happened, but it happened. And then in the finals, they beat the defending champions, the Detroit Pistons. Number 4, I'm going to go with the 21 Milwaukee Bucks. That was the year Giannis scored 50 against the Suns in the finals to close out in the closeout game. But in the first round, they swept the Heat with Jimmy Butler. The second round, they beat the Nets. Kyrie Irving ended up being injured for the series, but the first game they lost by 50. I mean, not 50. I'm sorry. The first game they lost by 30. Kyrie got hurt. James Harden played, but he wasn't fully healthy, but he still played. And that was the series where KD hit the turnaround jump shot when his toe was on the line in Game 7 for the game winner. So they end up winning that round. The next round, they beat the Hawks in 6 games. They probably shouldn't have went to 6, but it did. And then in the finals, they beat the Phoenix Suns. That was when the Phoenix Suns had Chris Paul and Devin Booker. Number 3, I'm going to go with the 95 Rockets. So the reason they're so high is because, if I'm not mistaken, till this day, the Rockets are the only team to win a championship that never had home court advantage. So that season, their record was 47-35. They finished 5th seed, and they beat 4 teams with 57-plus wins, which were the Jazz, the Suns, the Spurs, and the Magic. They beat 3 teams with 59-plus wins, which were the Jazz, the Suns, and the Spurs. And they was like I said, they were the lowest seed to win the NBA championship. They never had home court advantage throughout the playoffs. And then in the first round, they beat the Jazz. The second round, they beat the Suns with Barkley, Dan Marley, and those guys. In the West Conference Finals, they beat David Robinson with the Spurs. That was the year David Robinson won the MVP. And then in the finals, that was the year where they infamously when they beat the Orlando Magic with Penny Hardaway and Shaq. They actually swept them. Number 2, I'm gonna go with the 19 Raptors. If you don't remember, that was the year that Kawhi Leonard played for the Raptors. Basically, they swapped Kawhi and DeMar DeRozan out. And if you could remember, the Raptors would always be 1 or 2 in the Eastern Conference, but for years they couldn't get over the hump, which was LeBron James. LeBron James went over to the Western Conference and played for the Lakers. You insert Kawhi Leonard with that team. The first round, they beat the Magic. Second round, they beat the Sixers and Embiid. If you could remember, that was the shot heard around the world. Kawhi get the ball, run to the corner, run past. Ben Simmons was on them. Joel Embiid was right there too. He run to the corner, shoot up that shot, and you could see that picture that Kawhi Leonard sitting like this. And that motherfucker went in, sent Joel Embiid and sent them home crying, literally in tears, walking into the locker room. So yeah, they won that series, and then they move on to the next round. They played Milwaukee, and they beat Milwaukee. That was Giannis's MVP season. And then they went on to the finals, and in my eyes, that was a revenge series for Kawhi Leonard when he played the Golden State Warriors. Because if you could remember, when did Kawhi start having all those injuries? It was when Zaza Pachulia. Oh, did I say that right? I ain't say that right. I know I ain't say that right. When Zaza, he was the center for the Golden State Warriors. Went up to contest one of Kawhi Leonard's shots when he was playing with San Antonio, and he stuck his foot under Kawhi's foot, and Kawhi came down and messed up his leg, and he hasn't been the same since. So in my eyes, that was a revenge game for him to get his payback for them niggas for what they did to him. That's his overcharging niggas for what they did to the Cold Crush. If you know that lyric, you know it. But nah. So he beat the Golden State Warriors with Clay, KD. It was an injured KD, but KD played. Steph Curry, Draymond Green, put them out, kind of ruined KD never came back after that. And that's the Raptors' only NBA championship in league history. And at number 1, this is what I got at number 1.
On the greatest NBA Finals run.
It's not a debate.
Not a debate.
When you look at who Dirk had to beat, obviously Portland first round, that's Brandon Roy.
Brandon
Roy was a problem for his knees.
Issue.
Yeah, he was different.
That's Brandon Roy and LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yep.
Then you got to realize the next series, it's Kobe and Powell.
It should be noted that Kobe had an ankle injury that series. My man was fucked up. He played too much coming off them going to the NBA championship 3 years in a row and winning 2 back-to-back. I had to say that.
Coming off a championship, swept them. Then the next series, it's KD, Russ, and Harden. Gentleman's sweep. Then the next series, Bosh, Wade, Braun. Like, how many Hall of Famers did he knock off on that run? Your favorite Hall of Famers from that time period got clapped on that run.
Yeah, it's not no debate.
Dirk had quiet confidence. I won't say quiet confidence. He would say it to us. He just didn't feel like he needed to say it to the world.
Respect.
At number 1, I'm going to go with the 2011 Dallas Mavericks. That playoff run, like Brandon Haywood said, that playoff run was crazy. Dirk went through every good team he went through. The first round, like he said, it was Portland when they had Brandon Roy, and they also had LaMarcus Aldridge that year. They beat them. The next round, they played against the Lakers, the defending champion Lakers. You got to, put that in there. He beat them. The next round, he beat OKC. OKC at the time, they had KD, Russ, Serge Ibaka, and James Harden coming off the bench. He beat them, make it to the NBA Finals, and he beat the shit out of the Miami Heat with D-Wade, Chris Bosh, and LeBron James. If you can remember, that was a series where I think LeBron James averaged 11 points and 2 points in the fourth quarter or some shit like that. But even beside that, if I'm not mistaken, Dirk hit like 50 free throws straight without missing in the playoff series. So that whole playoff series, I think he was just on. It was just, he just hit lightning in the bottle. They had the perfect team. They had the perfect team surrounding him. They had one superstar, and they had a bunch of pieces that complemented what he did. They had Jason Terry. They had Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd had already been to the NBA Finals 2 times with the New Jersey Nets. He just happened to lose. But Jason Kidd was actually shooting threes that season. That year, he improved his jump shot that year. He was a good defender. Jason Kidd is one of the better pure point guards that the league has ever seen. They had Jason Terry. Jason Terry was talking good shit. He was knocking down big shots. And then you had one of the greatest defenders of all time, JJ Barrera. He was defending LeBron James. So JJ was clamping shit up that year, as people would say, but nah. They just had the perfect team and players to complement their star player, and which allowed Dirk to just do his thing. And he was locked in too. And it also didn't help too that the D-Wade and LeBron James were mocking him. It was reported, I think, during that series that he either had the flu or something. He was sick, and it was a camera, and it caught D-Wade and LeBron James walking through the tunnel or some shit like that, and they were coughing, like making fun of Dirk, talking about some I'm sick. It's 90 degrees out here in Miami. I caught the flu or some shit like that. And Dirk must have heard that, because he flew their ass. He caught fire on their ass. He was fucking the Heat up that series, and that was when the Mavs experienced not one, not two, but they ain't win the championship that year, because LeBron said he was bringing a bunch of championships, but Dirk smoked their ass. So I think Dirk had the toughest playoff run in modern NBA history. I don't want to say all NBA histories and people get on my ass about something that happened in the 80s, the 70s, or whatever. I'm just going to say modern NBA history from like 90 all the way up until now that I witnessed myself. So, yeah, let's give it up for Dirk and what he accomplished that year. All right. Speaking of the Mavericks in Dallas, let's talk about some of the worst trades that have happened in NBA history. We can start off with the most recent one, which was Dallas trading Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis. Well, I guess his time will tell whether that was a bad trade or not, a good trade. But as of right now, the Lakers got the better end in that trade, because what happened? AD got hurt the first game he played with the Dallas Mavericks. He came back in the play-in tournament, but it looks like the Lakers, if we could go deep in the playoffs, we'll come out on the best end of that trade. Another one, Rudy Gobert to Minnesota. If you can remember, Rudy Gobert was with Utah, and for some reason, Minnesota thought it was a good idea to trade for him. I don't think they needed him at the time. I thought Rudy Gobert would stunt Cat and Ant-Man's growth, which it ended up being, because they had to get rid of Cat because they chose Rudy Gobert over Cat. But this is what they gave up. The Minnesota Timberwolves gave up to bring in Rudy Gobert. They gave up Malik Beasley, Patrick Beverly, Leandro Balmero, I bet you I butchered that, Walker Kessler, Eric Vanderbilt. Wait on this. 4 first-round picks and a first-round pick swap. I don't think they got their money's worth from that trade. Another one, which is probably even worse than the Rudy Gobert trade, is in hindsight now that time has passed and we've seen what happened. It was the SGA trade for Paul George, where Oklahoma City got back. Let's give it up for Sam Presti, the Oklahoma City GM. He be busting some moves when it comes to trades. Let's give it up for Sam. Sam be sticking people up for them trades and all them draft picks he's accumulated over the years. This is what the fucking Oklahoma City Thunder got from the Clippers for Paul George. And it also should be noted that the reason that the Clippers gave up this much was because Kawhi Leonard said that he wanted Paul George to be his teammate when he left Toronto and came to the Clippers. So I'm going to give him kind of a pass on that, but not a complete pass. So this is what the Clippers gave up. They gave up 5 first-round picks, 2 first-round pick swaps, and Danilo Gallinari. I don't know why I'm having trouble pronouncing names today, but Gallinari. Everybody know that Gallo. So the picks included the Miami Heat's 2021 unprotected first-round pick, which ended up being Trey Mann. The Clippers' 2022 unprotected first-round pick, which ended up being Jalen Williams. The rights to the 2023 first-round swap with the Clippers. The Clippers' 2024 unprotected first-round pick. The Heat's 2025 projected first-round pick. The rights to the 2025 first-round pick swap with the Clippers. And the Clippers' 2026 unprotected first-round pick. So the Clippers, they fucked. And OKC, like the rest of the trades, they got a bunch of trade capital so they can continue to build their team and stay young, or if when contract come up and some of their players, they need to get rid of them to make cap space, they got the flexibility to do that. Another trade that happened that worked out and which was one-sided, which was the Boston Celtics and the Philadelphia 76ers. If you can remember, Boston and Philly swapped out draft picks in the draft to Boston acquired Jason Tatum, and Philadelphia 76ers, they really was big on Markelle Fultz. Unfortunately, something happened with Markelle Fultz, arm or shoulder or something, but they tried to change his shot and it didn't work out. He ended up being moved on from the Philadelphia 76ers, and I think he last played in Orlando, where he played a little bit better, but he didn't pan out to the way that Philly thought it would be. He was a part of the process. They were paired him with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, but Boston got a championship out that shit, so that was crazy. And then another trade that happened back in the day, I don't know if nobody remember this one, but at the time this was a dumb trade. But it was when the Brooklyn Nets first came to Brooklyn and they got a new owner who was a rich owner which was willing to spend some money, and they traded for Paul George, Jason Terry, and Kevin Garnett. And they already had Darren Williams at the time. Darren Williams, he was injury prone, but he was still a solid player. So this is what the Nets gave up to get Paul George, super aging Paul George, and Kevin Garnett. They gave up the picks, which turned out to be Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And this is the worst part about it. Garnett averaged 6 points and only played 100 games, and Paul Pierce averaged 13 points and he only played 75. And between the two of them, between 2 seasons, they only gave Brooklyn 44 wins. So imagine giving up some picks that could have landed you Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. If you would have just held on to them, your franchise would have been way better. But as we know, Brooklyn just be reaching, because following that, when they had the chance, they reached and they grabbed Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving, which didn't pan out easily. So maybe the franchise is just cursed. Another one, back in the day, I could remember this one. People thought it was a lopsided trade and thought the Memphis Grizzlies got robbed when they gave up Paul Gasol, a former Rookie of the Year, for Kwame Brown. Shout out to Kwame Brown, former #1 overall pick. Yeah, they gave up Kwame Brown and some picks. And what would turn out to be Marc Gasol. People didn't think he would be that good, but they gave up Marc Gasol and Kwame Brown for Paul Gasol. And as we know, Paul Gasol went on to win 2 championships alongside Kobe Bryant, Lamar Odom in that 2009 and 2010 seasons. Another one, which was older when I had to go back in history and look at this. I remembered it, but I didn't remember it vividly, so I had to relook it up. But when the Seattle Supersonics at the time traded Gary Payton for Ray Allen, the fucked up part about it was Ray Allen was in his prime, and Gary Payton ended up only playing 20 games with the Bucks before they moved on from. So they gave up a superstar in Ray Allen to get an old ass Gary Payton who they didn't play on their team for more than 20 games. Another trade. This was another draft day trade. It was the Charlotte Hornets, not the Charlotte Hornets. The Bucks gave up Dirk. They drafted Dirk Nowitzki, but because they liked it, Robert the Tractor Trailer, if y'all can remember him, they gave him up for Dirk. They really wanted Robert the Tractor Trailer, so they swapped those 2 trades out after they both drafted. Dirk ended his career with 31,560 points, and Robert the Tractor Trailer ended up with 2,085 points. Who y'all think got the better end of that? It was the Mavs. Dirk will end up winning the championship with them. And the last one that I'm going to mention is probably one of the greatest steals of all time in trade history. It was the Charlotte Hornets drafting Kobe Bryant on draft day and then trading him for Vlade Divac and some other pieces. The Lakers will end up getting 5 championships out of that trade. And Kobe going out as one of the greatest basketball players and Lakers of all time. So I know the Charlotte Hornets regret that trade, but I don't kind of fault them for that trade, because if you could remember during that time, Kobe's his agent, he were threatening certain teams that if they drafted Kobe, Kobe would just go play overseas. I know he did it with the New Jersey Nets at the time, because John Calipari really wanted to draft Kobe Bryant to the Nets. And this was back in the time when a lot of teams wasn't drafting players straight out of high school. So, but yeah, if y'all think I missed something or y'all think better trades, y'all can just put them in the comments below. If you want to follow me on any platform, you can follow me on Spotify, YouTube, or Instagram at the First to 32 Podcast. You can like, subscribe, share, comment, whatever. Just give me your feedback. And that's all I got for today. Once again, it's the First to 32 Podcast, where we play for keeps, and I'm out.
Yeah, big boss. I'm knowing I ain't hearing not a young nigga saying. Double back twice in a row. 3-3 bitches planes all in my home. First street, tell it all when I make a song. Let my brother day, he ain't make it home. She be all on.